Okay, we've been reading this nonfiction text, Big Blue Whale. We started it the other day. And when we're reading, we're focusing on wondering and also thinking about what we're learning when we read a nonfiction text. So we've been learning a lot about blue whales in this text, right? It gives us all true information about blue whales. One thing that I learned that I thought was pretty interesting was that they don't have teeth, they have um, baleen plates in the top of their mouth, and it almost reminds me of like a toothbrush, right? But that they're very strong, right? So that they were pretty hard, like your fingernail. That was one thing that I learned that I thought was pretty interesting. But we learned all about how big the whale is, and we started learning a little bit about what they were eating, right? So in the beginning of the book, we learned that they eat krill. So we're going to learn a little bit more about krill. Not only were we thinking about what we're learning from the book, but we were also wondering. Good readers wonder before, during, and after reading. So last time we read this book, we wondered prior in the beginning of reading. Some of the questions that we wondered were, are blue whales really blue? That did not get answered yet. I wonder why blue whales eat krill. Maybe we'll find out today why they eat krill. That didn't get fully answered. I wonder what is the biggest fish they eat. That did not get answered either. I wonder if blue whales bite. We did learn that they don't have teeth, so they can't bite. And I wonder if blue whales jump high out of the water. We didn't learn about that either. So today, as we're reading, I want you to think about any of these wondering thoughts, right? And think if any of them get answered. And we'll check back in at the end of the text. I also want you to look back at what you were wondering the other day after reading and see if that gets answered today. And this is how the blue whale spends the summer, eating krill and getting fat. But in the fall, the polar seas freeze over. The krill hide under the ice where the whale cannot catch them. So the whale swims away from the icy cold and the winter storms. In summer, the blue whale grows a thick layer of fat all over its body. This fat is called blubber, and it's a food store for the winter when the whales eat very little. We did learn about another animal that eats blubber too. That's a text to text connection, right? I think it was a seal in the last text has blubber, just like this blue whale has blubber to keep them warm in the winter. Day after day, the blue whale swims slowly and steadily toward its winter home. Its huge tail beats up and down to push it along. Its flippers steer it left or right. For 2 months and more, the whales swim until at last it reaches the calm, warm seas near the equator. There it stays all winter. Some blue whales spend their summers around the South Pole and swim north to the equator for the winter. Others live around the North Pole and swim south for the winter. But when it's winter at the South Pole, it's summer at the North Pole. So the two groups of whales never meet. And there the blue whale mother gives birth to her baby, where storms and cold weather can't hurt it. The blue whale's baby slithers from her body tail first. She gently nudges it to the surface to take its first breath. Then the baby dives beneath her to get its first drink of milk. Babies are born about a year after the blue whales travel. A whale baby is 23 feet long at birth. It drinks more than 150 gallons of milk a day. It gets its milk from the mother. All through the winter, the blue whale keeps her baby close. It feeds on her creamy milk, and it grows and it grows. In the spring, the two whales return to the polar seas to feast on krill together. But by the fall, the young whale is big enough to live on its own. So mother and young whale part and begin the long journey back to the equator. A blue whale may travel from the polar seas to the equator and back every year of its life. Sometimes it will swim with other blue whales, but mostly it will swim alone. Okay, time to pause. I want you to think about one thing that you learned in this text so far today. Press play when you're ready to move on. Yet the blue whale may not be as lonely as it seems, because sometimes it makes a hum so loud and so low that it can travel for thousands of miles through the seas to reach other blue whales. Only a very low hum could travel so far, and only a very big animal could make a hum so low. Perhaps that's why blue whales are the biggest creatures on Earth, so that they can talk to one another even when they are far apart. Who knows what they say? Here I am would be enough. Adult blue whales make their hums in deep water. It's much colder than near the surface, which helps the hum to travel a long way. Because in the vastness of the green seas, even a blue whale is small and hard to find. That means because the seas are so big, even though a blue whale is so big, it's still so hard to find in the huge waters, right? Because the waters cover our Earth. Okay, and at the very end of this book, we have a nonfiction text feature. This is an index. The index shows us different topics that we might read about and what pages they are on. It says, look up the pages to find out about all these blue whale things. Don't forget to look at both kinds of texts, right? Because there was some texts that were on pictures and then some texts that told the story. So if I wanted to learn about a blue whale breathing, I would look right here where it says breathing, and then I would follow the line, and I see that it's on page 10 and page 11. So I could go back to page 10 and 11 and learn about blue whales breathing. Okay, what we wonder about blue whales. Were any of these questions answered? Are blue whales really blue? We didn't learn about that, right? We never really learned if they really were blue. I wonder why blue whales eat krill. I guess we could say that we didn't learn that blue whales eat krill because they have to save up for the winter, right? So they eat krill because it helps them grow blubber to keep them warm in the winter. So we could say that one was answered. I wonder what is the biggest fish they eat. We didn't learn that, right? We only heard that they eat krill. I wonder if blue whales bite. We answered that one. And I wonder if blue whales jump high out of the water. They never told us if blue whales jumped out of the water. So even though some of these questions were not answered, you could still go and read another text about blue whales, or go look on Pebble Go about blue whales and find out more about them and see if any of these questions could be answered. That's what good readers do. They keep on reading. They read more to find out if they could answer more questions that they may have. Okay. Now it's your turn. I want you to write one new fact that you learned about blue whales today that surprised you. And then I want you to think, what are you still wondering about blue whales? If you're still wondering something, you could always go and look it up. And if you look it up, share with your class. Let us know what you found out about blue whales.